Now, the South African Weather Service has issued a warning of severe thunderstorms this weekend. The Weather Service said the storms could result in damaging winds and hail, as well as heavy downpours that may cause localized flooding. To talk to us more on this, I'm joined by forecaster Luthando Masimini. A very good evening to you, Luthando. As far as this weather is concerned, I believe the harsh weather has actually already started. I mean, we saw some damaging flooding taking place in some parts of the Mid-Val yesterday.
Yes, the weather has not been that friendly with us this week. There's still more weather happening over the country, affecting mostly the central and eastern parts.
Now, tell us what we ought to be expecting this weekend, and what is the cause of this harsh weather?
At this stage, it is an upper air trough that is located just off the west coast. It's pulling down some tropical moisture, which is responsible for the thunderstorm development. It's a warmer air than the MS we normally get here in the subtropics, which is now a bit unstable. That means it now results in formation of clouds, and with other meteorological mechanisms, those form a combination and then result in thunderstorm development, which is what we are experiencing at this stage.
And which are the provinces that are most likely to be affected by this?
Come again, sorry?
The provinces that are most likely to be affected by this weather.
The provinces, yes. The provinces that have been affected, and are still, some of them are still affected at this stage, it's the Northern Cape, the eastern part of the Northern Cape, the Free State, the Eastern Cape, the Northwest Province, Gauteng, and as well as in fact, KZN, Mpumalanga, and the Limpopo province. But the Limpopo province at this stage is the least expected, with Mpumalanga, which received quite good rainfalls in the past few days, especially the Western Highveld.
And before I let you go, Luthando, I mean, we're actually just showing on our screens right now a video that was taken yesterday, scenes happening at a garage in Sharpeville where the structure fell. As you can see, there's hailstorms as well. How long is this likely to last? You've said the weekend, but are we likely to see this go into a Monday as well?
In fact, for the Gauteng area, that spell is over. We just under the wet spell, not really in the form of other adverse variables like that resulted in what has happened this weekend in the Val area. It's mainly the clouds now with the rain continuous on and off. That's what we're going to experience in the next few days. But the system that has caused that is now concentrated more to the west of us, which I don't, if I can recall, I mentioned the Northern Cape, eastern part of the Northern Cape, the western part of the Free State, and some parts of, in fact, the western part of the Northwest Province. In fact, the system goes further down to the Eastern Cape, the northern interior of the Eastern Cape. There are some big storms there that may also cause some damage in places there. But for us in Gauteng, that spell is over. As I indicated, it's more for some continuous rain, which as well for travelers, drivers, and that may be a bit of a problem because that rain is adding on a wet soil already, which is what we have experienced over last night here in Gauteng. So there's still a caution that drivers should take, and unfortunately our poor communities in informal settlements will not really, I don't think they are welcoming this continuous rain that we are experiencing at this stage.
You mentioned that the worst may be over for Gauteng, but what about the other provinces come next week? What about the Eastern Cape, for example? What about the Northern Cape, the Free State, and KZN?
Okay, yes, it is summer this day. It's summer now, so these systems come and go, and we have limits as well to the to the window scope, which we can look at what we expect. But in the next few days, to the system that is now causing the adverse weather is affecting still the eastern part of the northern Cape province. There's still some big storms, as I mentioned earlier, the western Free State, and as well as the extreme western parts of the northwest province, including the interior of the eastern Cape. So they are still, the communities and they should still take caution, because the storm is not yet over for them. But at this stage, as I indicated, our scope is giving us that weather to last probably between today and tomorrow, and then things easing off into next week. But with more systems coming through, people should put an ear on the information as to what next to expect. But at this stage, after this spell, there should be a slight break. But as South African Weather Service, we will be watching the weather and make sure that we are sending out the information in time once we see that something bad is coming.
Dr. Masimini, what type of advice would you give to South Africans as far as their safety during this time? Are there any specific areas that they need to try and perhaps stay away from?
The only advice I can say to people, they must listen to the news radio, and also give time to what I want to say, to change their plans if it needs be, especially if there is a warning sent out and people not to really for situations and be outdoors, and then also embark on journeys towards the areas which will be affected by these weather systems.
All right. Well, we thank you so much for your time, as well as the information that you've just shared with us from the weather service there, weather forecaster, Mr. Luthando Masimini, just warning all South Africans to stay safe, to stay clear of waters as well, because we do know that flooding does happen, and many tend to be victims of flooding as well. And as much as we do need the rains, when it's too much, it can also lead to a catastrophe in our homes. So